Y'all want to know something that is creepy as hell to me? Is when somebody know you, but you don't know them. So there's a difference between, you know, when people know you from TikTok, when you do social media and stuff like that, a lot of people tend to know you. Like, say, for instance, when I used to go to the mall, I would run into people and they would be like, oh, I know you from TikTok, this, that, and the third. Or go to a restaurant. They'll tell you they know you from TikTok, which will kind of lower your guard because now it's not so weird. You know what I'm saying? But when people don't tell you where they know you from, that is creepy as hell to me. So prime example, okay, I'm rolling through the hood. I see that these people out here having a block party. I'm bored. I ain't got shit to do. So I get out and yeah, I'm by myself. You might call that crazy, but I'm used to doing stuff like that. So I get out, you know, I'm mingling. I'm really like social and stuff like that. So it really wasn't a problem, you know. I wasn't giving no negative vibes, no negative energy. So, you know, everything was going good. So the food is down here. All the way down here from where my car was parked. Before you get to the food, it's these people lined up in their chairs and they just sitting there. It's like a some older women and some older men, and they sitting right in front of the apartment that was having the block party. So I'm walking on my way to get the food, and this lady yells out and she was like, hey, how you been? And I immediately was like, who are you? Because mind you, I was tipsy, and usually when I'm tipsy, if you don't know, I like to just get straight to the point. So if you ask me something or I feel a little animosity in your voice, I'm going to just try to get to what the bottom of the issue is. I'm not going to sugarcoat and pussyfoot. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm good. You know, shit like that. No. Who are you? Because I don't know you. I don't know her by her face. I've never seen this woman before in my life. And she talking to me like she know me. So I'm asking her, well, who are you? Before I start giving out my information. She was like, is your name Jock? Now, mind you, when this incident happened, I had never even had Jock in my username on TikTok or anything like that. My name was Pretty Brown Marie and Aries Finesse. I never put my actual name or nickname in my TikTok. Now I have That's Jock, but I just recently changed it to that. So when this incident happened, my name didn't have nothing about Jock in it. So she couldn't have known me from TikTok. She was like, is your name Jock? I was like, yeah. I was like, what's your name? And she just sat there and smiled at me like, with this creepy behind smile. So I was like, well, how do you know me or whatever? And she was like, she just didn't say nothing. So I was like, is it from church? Because I'm thinking, you know, I used to go to church a while back, and usually when older people, this was an older lady, so usually when older people say that they know me, is usually from my mom, because most people say that me and my mom look alike and they know me as her daughter or something like that, you know. I asked her, did she know me from church? She like, no. Do you know me from my mom? She like, no. Bitch, how do you know me then? Because now you creeping me the fuck out. So I kept asking her, and she just would not give me an explanation. And then she never told me what her name was. Now that is some scary shit, in the words of Regina Hall. Some scary shit.
So nobody likes to tell any ghost stories, spooky stories, whatever you call it, supernatural stories, and share like real stories like that, or things that occurred to them, because nobody wants to feel like everybody thinks you're crazy. But I remember sharing a story one night at work, and everybody from all walks of life started sharing their own stories, and it turns out everybody's got a scary story. So I have two. There's one I don't talk about because it still terrifies me, because I know I would have died. But the first occurrence, I don't mind sharing because it doesn't scare me as bad now. But it was a crazy event, but it's a shared experience. So I have a witness for this one. But if you like this story that I'm about to tell you, and you want to hear the other one, comment below and share your own stories if you have any. There was one night, my sister and I was about 18 or 19. She's 4 years older than me, and we both lived at home in Detroit, Michigan, in his older home. It was like 1 a.m. I was the only one up. Everybody else was upstairs asleep. And I heard my sister calling me really softly, which was already weird because we're a loud family. So it's like, why are you whispering? What is happening? But she was going, Reese, Reese. And I'm like, what? She goes, come here. Well, I'm downstairs, I'm watching Friends, and I didn't feel like getting up. I didn't respond to her, but I thought to myself in my head, like, I'll go in once it goes to commercial. Luckily for her, it went to commercial just then. So I was just like, okay. So I go to run up the stairs, like just being silly, just kind of jogging up the stairs. Our bathroom was at the top of the stairs and the light was on. And we usually leave the light on so that it could illuminate the hallway and the stairs. Our light was on, and I get to the top of the landing, and I jumped once I got on the landing, and I was like, okay, I'm here. And I looked down the hallway, which is not a long hallway, so the bathroom should have illuminated it, but the hallway was uber dark, like really dark. And I remember thinking, like, why is it so dark down there? But I'm still walking towards her door, and just as I get to the entryway to her bedroom door, which was across from mine, it was like, and her door was open, but just as I get to the entryway, it was like I felt a breeze, like something moved really fast past me. And it startled me because I remember I kind of like stepped back, and then I like put my back against the wall in the hallway, kind of like, what the heck was that? But I couldn't see. So I remember like reaching around behind me into her room and flipping the switch, hoping to see like, what the heck was that? And just as I did that, of course I don't see anything, but I like turn and like peeked in her room so I can be like, what's going on? As soon as I look at her, she's got the covers up to her chin, and she's like staring at the ceiling, shaking. And she's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. She's like, Reese? And I'm like, yeah. And she was like, she said she woke up and her room was pitch black. And she felt real uncomfortable. And she's like, why is it so dark? She started calling me thinking I was in bed across the hall. And she was like scared to get up because it was just a weird feeling. And she said she called me. I said, what? And she was like, come here. Well, she said about like a minute or two after she called me, she heard me say, here I am. And she's like, where are you? I can't see. Turn the light on. And just as she said that, she heard me down the hall go, okay, I'm here. Now, that might not scare you, but I can promise you, anybody in my community, usually we don't jive with that. Like, nah, dog. We woke my mother up. Ma, get the oil, start praying. I don't know what just happened, but we both kind of had a weird moment right now, and I don't know what's going on. But yeah, that was my little spooky story. But like I said, I have a second one which was actually terrifying, and I know people are not gonna believe me, especially if you don't believe me on this one. But if you want to hear that one, I will work up the courage and tell that story, but you got to tell me down below. All right.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true. I'll go first.
Okay, so this happened in 2009, and I had either just graduated high school or I was about to. And my boyfriend was living with us at the time, and we were in our bedroom, and my mother and her boyfriend at the time would get into very loud, like angry fights. So when that would happen, we would usually leave the house when it would start getting uncomfortable. So this particular night, they were screaming at each other, and we left out the back door. So the way that our house is set up, when you walk into the front door, you're in the living room, and there's a hallway that to the left is the bedrooms, and to the right is the bathroom and the kitchen where the back door is. So while they were fighting, we snuck through the hallway and went out the back door. And we were gone for a good 45 minutes, maybe an hour. And when we walked through the door, they were staring at us like eyes wide, and they looked scared, and we're like, what's going on? Like, we had left before and come back, and it was never a big deal. And they asked us, well, how long have you been gone for? We said, I don't know, like 45 minutes, an hour maybe. And they looked even more shocked. So, come to find out, they said that a few minutes before, about 15 minutes, we had apparently walked through the front door. We're giving them dirty looks. They were assuming because they were being too loud with their fight. And we looked angry, walked to the hallway into our bedroom, and slammed the door shut. And this still gives me goosebumps to this day because we were like, what the actual, what is going on? So we walked to the hallway and looked, and the bedroom door that we had left open when we left was completely shut. So I was scared, and my boyfriend at the time, of course, was scared too, but he decided to open the door. And as soon as he opened the door, it was obvious that the window was wide open, which we never left the window open. And the room was really cold. And mind you, like I said, it was around graduation time, so I remember it was really hot outside. And the AC didn't really reach my bedroom, so it was usually a little bit warm, but this night it was ice cold. And I was so freaked out that I didn't want to sleep in that bedroom that night. So we ended up sleeping in the living room. And it still freaks me out to this day because I have other stories. I grew up in New Mexico. There's a lot of, witchcraft stories I have and, S. Walker encounters, things like that. And this was the first time I had heard about, any type of doppelganger situation. But either way, super scary to this day.
So y'all know how in the scary movies there's always a scene where somebody's like hair gets dragged, like you see the ponytail go up and something just grabs it and just start dragging them around. That's what happened to Lisa, except Lisa's life wasn't a scary movie. It was real life. So Lisa's Puerto Rican, and for the longest, growing up in her household, everybody did brujeria. She had learned the basics of it. She had even learned how to do it. Well, as much as she could learn for a 5-year-old. So it wasn't a surprise when weird things would happen at their house, like all the time. Most of the time, her parents would just tell her to ignore it. They're like, don't worry about it, baby. We're just working on something. If you see something, just act like you don't see, just mind your business. Y'all know, kind of like how I've been telling y'all to do. So one day, Lisa's mom pulls her to the side and she says, hey, something is going on and I need you to stay at grandma's for a while. I need you out of the house for the next week because we have some cleansing to do. So when you get out of school, go straight to grandma's house. Now, her house was about 5 minutes away from her school, walking wise because she walked home. And grandma's house was about 15 minutes away. So one day she gets out of school, she stops by the store, she gets herself some snacks and everything, and she has to use the bathroom. Now, mind y'all, the walk to her grandma's house is 15 minutes, but the walk to her house is 5. She has her keys, so she decides, I'm just going to stop by home real quick, use the bathroom, and then go to grandma's house. So she walks home, and the moment she gets through the front door, something just doesn't feel right. But she has to pee. So she opens the door and she heads to the bathroom. And on her way to the bathroom, she feels like she's being followed. At that point, she's like, I'm going to hurry up and use the bathroom and get out of here. She goes, she uses the bathroom, she washes her hands. She starts to head out the door. Now, as she's walking towards the front door, she feels something breathing right on her neck. So at this point, she starts to speed walk to the door. And this is where the scary movie moment happened because something dragged her by her hair back to the bathroom. Like, as she was about to touch the door to leave, that shit said, bitch, get back here. And at this point, she is screaming because poor baby, she's 5. She's terrified. She gets up, she tries to run out, except now the bathroom door is locked. So she's screaming her lungs out for help. Luckily, and she didn't know this, but mom was home. She was in her basement at her altar. When she heard Lisa screaming, she ran upstairs, ran to the bathroom, opened the door, and asked Lisa what happened. Lisa told her what happened, and at this point, she starts screaming at Lisa. She's like, I told you to go straight to your grandmother's house. What are you doing? Lisa's mom looks terrified, right? And so she grabs Lisa, drags her to the basement with her at the altar, does a ritual with offerings where her and Lisa are constantly apologizing to whatever it is that Lisa was apologizing to. Now, at 5 years old, this didn't sit with her very well. And it was at that moment that Lisa knew that she wanted no parts in what her family is involved with. She wanted nothing to do with brujeria, and she didn't care if that was the family's religion or not. I got my snacks, so get yours. We are gonna go right into it. So, there is this lady named Gina, and see, Gina had a problem. Gina just found out that her husband of 12 years just cheated on her. Well, he didn't just cheat, he had been cheating for a while. They have 4 kids together, and as far as she was concerned, nothing was wrong with their marriage. I mean, they'll have the disagreements like normal marriage stuff, but they weren't going through no rough patch or anything. This was like out of nowhere. However, there had been signs and stuff. She just didn't think that he would actually go and cheat on her, because he was literally the sweetest man in the world. He did everything for her. She didn't have to worry about a bill. Like, he's literally a sweetheart. That's why it was such a shock when she found out that he had been having an affair this whole time. So she's obviously devastated, right? And she's trying to think about things. She doesn't know what to do about this. She doesn't know how to go about it. Now, the husband doesn't know that she knows. She actually found out because she went to do something on his laptop because something was wrong with hers. And you know how when your MacBook and your iPhone, they're all connected. She ended up reading a whole lot of messages and emails and found out like everything that she found out. She also found out that the mistress, they're supposed to meet the following weekend at a hotel. Obviously, she wants to confront her husband about it, but she's so full of emotions that she don't know what to do. So she calls her mom. She calls her mom crying. She explains the whole situation to her mom. She shows her mom everything that she found out. All right, okay. There. Jeez. Mwah. Mwah. Dad happened to be there at the same time, so Dad heard everything. And Dad is not happy about it. Her little girl is devastated. She's crying. 12 years of marriage. He trusted that guy. He is not happy. So Dad tells Gina, I think we called her Gina, right? Yeah. Dad tells Gina not to confront him, not to do anything about it, and that he will handle everything. And Gina didn't know what to think of that. Gina's like, Dad, what are you gonna do? Dad's like, don't worry, I will handle everything. Leave it up to me, but try not to mention anything to him, at least until after their next meeting, which is the following weekend. So Gina agrees, but at the same time, she wants her dad to tell her what he's up to so bad, but he refuses. But I'm gonna tell y'all what he did. So what Gina didn't know is that her dad was a voodoo priest. He didn't really get into voodoo until Gina got older. So Gina never really knew that he got into voodoo and he started to do voodoo. So Dad had Gina send over all the information that he needed, including hotels, everything. He goes to the hotel. He finds one of the young workers. He bribes said young worker and gave the young worker a present in a present box wrapped. He says to the worker, my son is gonna come check in here later tonight. He'll be here with my daughter. I just wanted to leave them a present because they're celebrating something. This is my son's name, and when he checks in, could you please make sure that this is in their room? The young worker is like, oh yeah, absolutely. For this amount of money, for sure, I'm doing that. They have an agreement. He leaves the hotel. He calls his daughter. He says, you're coming over to our house this weekend. Like, you're moving in with us. You're leaving him. So when he goes to the hotel that night, you're going to pack everything and you're going to come home. I'm going to come and help you. They do exactly that. The night that the husband went to go cheat on his wife, which is Gina, Dad comes. Luckily, they didn't live too far. So Dad and Mom comes. They help her pack. They pack everything, the kids, everything. And they go back to Gina's parents' house. But Dad is still not telling Gina what he did. He just keeps saying, wait on it. You're going to get a very interesting phone call. So that same night, at 4 a.m, while she's sleeping, she gets a phone call. And it's the hospital. The hospital tells her that her husband is currently at the hospital. If she would like to come check on him, then, come check on him. And immediately, she's like, Dad, what did you do? Did you beat up my husband? Did you pay somebody to jump him or something? So she goes in Dad's room and she tells Dad about the phone call she just got. And he just starts laughing. And she's like, yo, what's so funny? Like, did you hire somebody to beat him up? Dad is like, no, I didn't actually. But you should go see him at the hospital. And Gina's like, what do you mean I should go see him? Dad is like, and he finds this very humorous. Dad is like, go to the hospital. Go see your husband. Gina, she's confused. She don't even know what to think. So she heads to the hospital. When she gets to the hospital, y'all, mind y'all, this is from a different country, so hospital rules aren't as strict as they are here. So when she got to the hospital, they told her that actually he said he doesn't want you to come see him. But the hospital staff were messy because they're telling her that, but they're giving her the vibe that you should go anyway. So she does exactly that. She goes to the room that he's in, and lo and behold, it was him and his mistress on the hospital bed. And the reason why he was at the hospital is because they are stuck together. Stuck together. Y'all know how sometimes dogs, they have, and they get stuck to each other? They were stuck to each other. That's what her dad did. He was obviously embarrassed already that he was stuck to somebody at the hospital. Now, again, this is in another country, so the hospital people already know what's up. Like, they already can tell that this is witchcraft, and he's just like a joke to the hospital. And Gina saw what she saw, and she was absolutely devastated. I just feel like her dad probably didn't have to have her see it like herself. And they were stuck like that for days up until he decided that he was going to apologize to his wife and her dad. He was literally begging and pleading with them for her dad to untie him to his mistress. But her dad let them sit there like that for a while before he decided to lift the curse. They were no longer tied together.